Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. Coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick.
Hey Alex, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty damn good.
And how's Zoe doing?
Zoe is not doing too well because we
Oh,
are in the midst of a thunderstorm here in New York City.
oh, I heard it was gonna be a bad one.
It is a bad one, and a crack of lightning just went off, and she ran across the apartment with a big old puffy tail.
Aw, poor baby.
So, I doubt the microphone will pick up any lightning, but it's possible. Well, it's not going to pick up any lightning. It might pick up some thunder. Probably not, but we'll see what happens.
My microphone is picking up birds chirping.
Sounds like you're having a nice day up there.
It's a beautiful day.
I'm jealous. Anyway, we're not here to talk about thunderstorms. We're here to talk about Star Trek. This week, we watched the episode Measure of a Man.
Captain's log, stardate 42523.7. We are en route to the newly established Starbase 173 for port call. Crew rotation is scheduled, and we will be offloading experiment modules.
Nick, what did you think of Measure of a Man?
I have 3 words and multiple syllables. Goddamn fantastic.
Right?
I done it.
Right.
I just love court of law type stuff. I always liked that. I saw Runaway Jury when I was little, and I was like, that's a damn good movie. I liked the whole thing. I watched it later and I was like, it's an okay movie, but still, it got me intrigued in the whole subject. So I was like, you know what? I like stuff like this, and to see an episode, of this nature in Star Trek made me very, very, very happy.
It was just so good. It's all so good. It's everything about it is great. It was wonderful. It was great. But let's take a step back. We got a courtroom scene. Nick, what are they courtrooming about? What's going on
What
here?
are they courtrooming about?
What are they courtrooming about?
The existential question, is Data a conscious being, or a member of Starfleet, or a piece of property of Starfleet, is the begging question.
Yes.
Yeah. So Data gets transferred on assignment to another command where the commander wants to dismantle Data and kind of figure out his kinks and work so he can create more Datas, because he wants to fulfill the work of Data's creator. Data decides that he does not want to do this, obviously, nor does Picard want him to do this. And they kind of have a weird ruling that Data, isn't a person, so he can't resign, he can't say no, because he's property, and he has to be transferred as such. So then it comes to the dilemma: is Data a living conscience, humanoid, or is he just machinery? And it was a nice philosophy type good old time.
It was indeed. And
And a lot of the main characters were not in it.
that is true. We got I think literally Deanna Troi and Worf and Wesley all had like 3 lines as they sat around a table, and Data opened goodbye presents. I just called them Data. Data opened goodbye presents. But basically, yeah, there was not really anyone else in this episode.
Yeah. Even Yar got an appearance.
That's what I was going to say, is I feel like the thing that I like about this episode more than anything else is how it took, even though so much of the things that came before this were dog shit, it still utilized them in a way that was important. So as much as we sit here and laugh about fully functional and the way he banged Yar, the way they said it was, he used it to explore intimacy. He had a special connection with Yar that he didn't have with anyone else. He had Yar's death was dog shit, but that played a role in the episode. I think they did a really great job making everything matter and giving weight to everything. Was just fantastic. Up to, even then, one of my favorite things this episode was just the opening scene when they're just playing poker, and when Data basically says later in the episode when he was talking to the doctor man, scientist man. He says, I learned all the rules of poker. I knew the rules inside and out. I understood probability, but experiencing it was something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess I just really like that. I really like how there was not a wasted second in this episode. Everything had this great payoff. Everything had this great connection. It was just great.
Yeah, they really used the space. I like the poker scene as well because I also like stuff that has to do with gambling.
That's true. I know that about you.
You got that, and you got lawyer stuff. It was like, I was so happy. It was like my two favorite things to watch on TV all in the way. It's like if Las Vegas and How to Get Away with Murder were the same show. It made me happy.
And you want to know what else made me happy? Is that despite the fact that it's exactly the type of thing she would do, Dr. Pulaski didn't open her fucking yap at all this episode.
Yeah, she wasn't as big as a racist as she usually is.
I was trying to think like, oh shit, what's she gonna do this episode? Because I know she's racist, and I know she's gonna do something racist, and then she kind of just didn't talk a lot, and I was like, oh, that's nice. Yes, be quiet, please. I like this about you.
I was hoping that she was going to be the one to like defend Data and just really, put a ribbon on that and just show that she's over it.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but I think that would have been too quick of an arc for her.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that would have made me happy, I think they probably had longer term plans. That didn't work out, but I think they wanted that to be sort of a longer term thing for her. So ultimately, what we have here is Picard versus Riker, and Riker is forced to do his best. I think that was a good dynamic, a good, really smart thing for the show. As far as Starfleet regulations go, I think it's kind of absurd to say, oh, well, you're going to be the guy who defends it. And he says, well, I can't. I have my own personal biases in the case. Well, if you don't, I'm going to rule this way regardless, which is kind of absurd because
you can't. But how could she expect him to really give a full-fledged defense? I mean, think about doing like a debate team or something in school. I'm sure you've done it. You've had to argue a case you didn't really support. I remember arguing for school uniforms, like in class. I won the debate, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what people wear in school. But you do have to go and articulate the argument. But I also had no moral weight in the decision. It's not like my decision made everyone wear a school uniform. It was just a practice debate. Now, one could easily do that, but now you're putting Riker in with emotions, and he doesn't want to lose Data or consider him non-human. And that really did affect him. He was very upset about it in the episode. I also don't understand why the hell they would expect that to be, like, okay.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let's see. Okay, let's see. Defending O.J. Simpson, we have O.J. Simpson's entire legal team. Who's going to prosecute O.J. Simpson? Jim Simpson. Yeah, you do it. It's like, it's dumb. It's just dumb. Also, I don't know if O.J. Simpson has a relative named Jim, but you understood my point.
I understood your point. I would have done more research for doing such a high-profile case. It was the crime of the century.
I should have. Yeah, I didn't prepare.
I don't even know if OJ has siblings.
To Wikipedia,
We gotta find this out.
his father was a well-known drag queen in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah, that was a big problem.
Oh my
with
God!
him.
Later in life, his father, Jim Simpson, announced he was gay. Oh my God! I did it! I did it! I made an accurate analogy. Oh shit! Yo, I'm awesome.
You're okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's kind of a dumb rule for Starfleet, but overall, the idea that it basically put Riker in this tough position just added just that extra little bit of drama and tension. That was nice because Riker did a good job as the prosecution.
It was nice, but it was kind of unnecessary.
It was... Well,
they could have had that guy be the prosecutor. They could have had someone act as the prosecutor. They didn't have to put Riker in the middle of this. It just added some extra dialogue and some random suspense, but we could have had the exact same amount of suspense even with someone else. Or if they had Dr. Pulaski do it.
I think Dr. Pulaski would have been that would have been just as good. The thing about Riker that makes it good is that Picard and Riker know each other, and Riker, the scientist, is a scientist. He was going to come in there with nuts and bolts. Riker's a commander. He was going to tell a more persuasive story. He's more skilled in this area, and so I think it just made more sense for the character. For a character like Riker would be better at this type of law, court martial, whatever.
Well, Riker is a very dedicated officer to Starfleet, and we learned that from the last episode.
That's true, and I think he shines here as well. It's a good, I guess I'm just not gonna knock the episode for giving more depth by having more characters be involved. We get to have Riker, Data, and Picard all have very heavy moments. Whereas and
if you put too many ingredients, it spoils. If you have too many hands in it, it also ruins it. So you're right. It works better with a smaller dynamic because it gives them more of a role to focus on. Now, I also kind of have been thinking about the little game we played in season 1. If you guys remember season 1, I wasn't convinced that Picard was a captain as much as Riker deserved to be captain. So I want to think of season 2 and what I've seen so far, and I'm starting to see why people are liking Picard. This episode really does convey that. It's a great episode for Picard fans. He really is able to intellectually distinguish that Data is a part of the crew and not a piece of machinery. So, and it shows that he really does care about his crew. Riker does care about Starfleet, so he really, in like a really orthodox sense, I feel like he would be a great captain eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like there is that passion that Picard is now showing that proves that he is a better captain than Riker could be at this time.
I completely agree. That's a very good observation. And I agree with it wholeheartedly. And I think I want to give just a little bit of extra credit to Patrick Stewart for doing such a great job in relaying that to the audience. Patrick Stewart acted his goddamn ass off in that last little speech. Just the way he just did it all. I obviously I'm not an actor, so I can't really articulate it. I'm just going to have to just try to do the best I can to describe
you're an
the
actor,
moments.
Alex.
I know I am. Just the way he goes, is he a machine? Yes, but that's irrelevant. Is he born from human? Yes, we're not arguing that. Like the way he just emphasizes everything so well, and he just, you're just drawn to every word he's saying, and it's just like, goddamn, Picard, you crazy bastard, you're just great.
Yeah, I'm really growing to like him.
One thing that Picard said, and this is the last big thing I want to touch upon, and then we'll go to see whatever you want to touch upon, is Picard has one line that's really resonates with me and the scene and the show and the series, which is, he says, our job is to seek out new life. Well, there it sits, or something to that effect.
Yes.
That is the most Star Trek line ever to me, because when you hear those words during the opening credits, to seek out new life and new civilizations, it really, on the surface, can sound simple. It is our job to get in a spaceship and fly out and see what we can find. But on a deeper level, it's evolving your understanding of life and your understanding of new civilizations. And for Picard to know that not all new life is out there, but some of it is in here, and it's our definition of life needs to evolve and constantly be changing as we continue to expand our minds. Fucking beautiful, and I love it.
Well done, Picard.
Well done indeed. It's so Star Trekky, it's so beautiful, and it's just it's like one sentence just perfectly encapsulates what's so awesome about this goddamn show. And it's great. Now, granted, there's like 700 other themes in this episode because obviously slavery comes up, just at a more mechanical level. Artificial intelligence and robotic rights, AI, all that stuff does come up. But I think at its very core, the thing that makes this episode great is it's the first one we've truly seen that really fits that mantra of seeking out new life and new civilizations.
I feel like you made an almost perfect segue into what want to talk about right now. I want to talk about the commander who wanted dismantled Data.
Okay.
He was having an argument with Picard before the trial, when they were trying to determine what's going on here. And he made a little cry story about how his life works in jeopardy and that's his right too. And I was just thinking about the practice of eugenics.
Okay.
Okay, I think it could be translated very literally too. Like the thing of eugenics is to, scientifically weed out certain groups to find the perfect specimen. And I feel like he was trying to somehow do that with Data and dismantling him. Like, it's a physical comparison. And I just found that super interesting that he was trying to give his pity story. And I was wondering, did, Nazis, do that? Were they upset when we said, hey, you can't, do experiments on twin shit? Like, no, it's my right to do whatever I want in my business. You know how Nazis cry all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Yeah, I just found that, a really interesting thing to think about. They really brought that to me. It's like there's two sides to every story, but you can clearly see that one is wrong.
Yeah, it's like my right is to have a fancy textbook with my name on it because I invented a cool thing. My right is to be alive. Yeah, it's very one-sided.
Yeah, it's just that's the thought process that they have.
Two things kind of about what you said. Number one, let's not forget, we are in a timeline technically where World War III was fought over eugenics. Because Khan is a genetically eugenified man.
His hair can turn blonde after a few years?
Yes, on a desert planet. And then, but the other thing, specifically more about just eugenics, is the idea of, is it right / whatever to artificially make people better? And I put better in quotation marks, but you can't see that because this is audio. But the idea of making, let's exhaust all the possibilities to make people better. Data perfectly brings that up with Picard when he says, Geordi's visor is superior to the human eyes. Why don't you all have that? And Picard realizes it's because we're human and we sort of value things,
differently.
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's just a lot going on in this episode.
It's very deep.
It really is. It's wonderful. Hey, everybody, it's Editing Alex coming at you from editing, where I have some things to say. Basically, we are going to talk at length in a few seconds about a very specific shot in the episode. It happens at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. It takes place on the bridge of the Enterprise and involves the commander who wants to dismantle Data and Lieutenant Data himself. And they just sort of look at each other while Picard has a conversation with another person on the bridge. And so if you want to go back and see exactly why we're talking about that shot, it's at 7 minutes and 30 seconds.
I want to talk about now. This is the first episode I noticed a cinematography change.
Okay, in what way?
I feel like stuff looked better and cleaner. And there was a scene I particularly liked when the Admiral is walking through, and then Picard is following, and then there's creepy commander dude. And him and Data kind of have that exchange. And they're walking around the back and to the side. And the entire time, Picard and the Admiral, should be the focus, but you see this guy just keep kind of staring at Data, like he's in the background kind of doing it, but it kind of brings your attention to that. And I haven't seen that much used. It was really interesting because it brought it away from the dialogue. Because I'm not really sure what was super important in that scene. Was it this guy eyeing up Data, or what these two were talking about walking in the room, talking about the transfer?
Yeah, it was just sort of bullshit. Cabo was like, the Enterprise, she's a fine ship, blah blah blah. But that the directing did exactly what they wanted you to do. It wanted you to basically zone out, much like the commander was when he was sizing up Data. That they wanted you to zone out because really he's not paying attention either to the pleasantries. He walked onto the bridge with the eye on the prize.
Yeah, but you don't see that often, people doing that. Mostly the focus is on the dialogue, especially in the show. The focus is on the dialogue and not in any sort of background. And when I say dialogue, I'm not talking about the actual conversations. Like, what the focus of the shot is, and you're paying attention to that at all times. If there's an action shot or a conversation, you're not looking at anything in the background to do something. And I really like that because it kind of scared me. That why is this guy doing things that he's not supposed to be? He's not the focus of this. And that brought me there. I thought it was fucking brilliant.
It was really well done.
Is there any other examples of that I'm just not thinking of? Because I thought it was so fucking genius.
In this episode, not a whole lot.
I mean, just in general, you're a big movie buff. I just thought that was so cool.
Well, there's one... Here's an example, just because I was actually just thinking about this movie today in The Godfather. Yes, I'm going immediately, taking a hard turn to what is considered by many to be one of the best movies ever made. In the scene where Michael Corleone... Spoilers for The Godfather. In the scene where Michael
You haven't seen it.
If you haven't fucking seen that movie, go watch it. Where Michael Corleone is in the Italian restaurant and he's about to assassinate... he's not assassinate. He's about to murder Salieri and the police chief over dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Before he goes in the bathroom to get the gun, he's making eye contact. He's staring daggers at both of these guys. The camera is very deliberate on like one of them leans in and he stares directly at Michael. Michael stares directly back. It's very focused on the conversation. Michael gets up. He goes into the bathroom to get the gun. He gets the gun. He walks back to the table, and he's very nervous. And he sits down at the table. Salieri starts talking. Salieri's not his name, right? Salieri's the guy from the Mozart movie, isn't it?
From Amadeus?
Yeah, let me double check this.
That's a good... Someone should do a...
Sollozzo. That's what it is. Sorry.
Someone should do a Smash Cinema on Amadeus.
Right. Sollozzo, not Salieri. Jesus Christ. Sollozzo keeps talking and sort of making this, we're going to make this deal. Things got fucked up between us. We're going to blah, 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 make it right, blah, blah, blah. They keep talking. And the camera never goes to Sollozzo. It never goes to the police chief. It stays on Michael Corleone. But Michael Corleone is different. He's not making eye contact. He's looking down. He's jittering. And basically, you don't even hear what Sollozzo's saying anymore. Because you're just focusing on Michael Corleone sort of realizing that this is the moment where his life is going to change forever.
And it's not even it's not like they do the trick where they kind of force it on you, where they fade them out. Because there's that trick. And I'm not talking about those things where you're looking at someone and someone's talking and then it fades out because they're not paying attention. It kind of does it for you. And that's what I find the genius in it.
That's visual filmmaking. That's like the whoever directed this episode, Robert Shearer. He understood. He's directed so much Star Trek. He understood that basically, that visual. Yes, people always, no one watches silent movies anymore. They recognize that sound and music and dialogue plays an important part in film, but visuals are always going to take precedence realistically, whether you notice or whether you know it or not. And he understood that when he was doing that one shot, and it was great and it was brilliant. I agree completely.
Yeah, I just love that he wasn't the forefront of the shot, but that's the only thing you saw.
So yeah, that's great shot, great acting, great themes, Great Star Trek all around in general.
Yeah.
What a goddamn great episode. So.
I miss Spock, though.
Spock is very good.
I just, I talked about this in another episode of us doing this, but the dynamic that the three of them had, the original, it's just something that I really wish we could have. I know it's different, and I'm growing to like this dynamic, but I really, really, really like that dynamic.
Yeah. There will be a very clear dynamic in this show as it finds its feet a little bit more. Basically, Picard, Riker, and Data will ultimately be your big three in this series. Now, Worf, Troy, the Doctors, they will have their moments. They will be more front and center than, say, Scotty, Chekhov, and Uhura. But overall, Picard and Riker always will be your biggest, and Data is just delightful all the time. Anyway, he does play a major role in lots of things. But you will find that ultimately in TNG, those three are the main three, even though they're not as front and center as Kirk, Spock, and McCoy always were. So, anyway, that was Measure of a Man. It was great, and it was perfect, and it was wonderful. But next week, we're going to be watching the Dauphin? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, because I don't remember how it's pronounced, but it's spelled Dauphin, and we're going to figure out what it means and how it's pronounced next week.
Okay.
So join us next week when we learn the pronunciation of the name of the episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, like, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff is much appreciated, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.